Hello and welcome to step 1 of SAMS, the Smart Automated Mouth System. In this video I'm going to show you how we critique articles or ebooks, whatever you want to convert into audio, to make sure they sound correct. Now, if you already have a text editor that allows you to mark individual paragraphs, then please feel free to use that. My text editor of choice is Notepad++, and that can be found on www.notepad-plus-plus.org. I'll leave it on the screen there for you to make a note, or please feel free to pause the video. So when you've put that into your browser, you should be taken to the Notepad++ website. Where are we? Here we are. I'll just maximise that. And on the left hand side here you can see a menu. So if you're not already on download, click on download, and then you can see at the top, all going downwards, all the releases, with the newest one being at the top. I've already got 8.1.2, so I'm not going to download it and install it, but you do that with any typical package. There's nothing new here to do. Okay, now that you've got Notepad++ installed, please open it and open an article or an ebook or whatever it is you want to work with into your text editor, your Notepad++. Now what I'm going to do in a few moments is I'm going to play the audio counterpart of this book, and as I go down and I'm listening, I'm not necessarily reading it word for word, but what I'm doing is listening to if it sounds okay, and if it sounds okay, move on to the next paragraph. If it doesn't, simply by left clicking to the right of the number will allow you to mark the paragraph. I don't know if you can see that there. There's a little sort of blue globe. You put one there for example. Now hopefully you can see those. I'll try and zoom in my editing software. And these are toggles, so you can turn them on and off with a click. As I said, these are all left clicks. So what I'm going to do now, and I'm not going to bore you with it all, is I'm going to listen to the audio, and whenever I hear a paragraph that doesn't sound quite right, I'm going to mark that paragraph. Now in order to play it, I should have mentioned this a few moments ago, we need to save this as a PDF document. So that our browser, in my case I'm using Microsoft Edge, and that's what I recommend, so our browser can read it, and then it can be read out aloud and we can listen to it. So in order to create a PDF, hold down your control key, and with the control key press down, press P, and that'll then bring up your print option. Now often you will use that for printing on paper, for example, but here we're not printing to paper, we're printing to a file, and we're choosing the Microsoft Print to PDF portable document format. So make sure you've got that selected, and in this particular instance we want the page ranges to be all. We want everything to be read, and we're going to print that. In a moment it's going to come up and ask us where we want that printed to. It's going to ask us for a file name because it is a PDF. Now I've created a temporary area to put my stuff in. You might want to work in, obviously for projects you'd have a much more structured folder system, and I'm calling mine sample. I do recommend that you keep just one file name for all your initial listenings. Later on you might want to have more than one file, and that's fine, but if you have more than one file at this stage, it's just going to add a level of complication that we really don't need. Not that this is a complicated system. So I've decided to call mine sample, and as you can see up there I've got a temp files area because this is not project based. So I'm going to click on save. Now I've already saved one, so it's going to ask me, do I want to replace it? Yes. Okay, so now the PDF has been saved. As you can see there, we're in the SAMS temp files folder. on my desktop. It's just a convenient place for me. You may well have your other system and that it'll work for that as well. So we have a sample PDF file, as you can see there's a Microsoft Edge PDF document. So I'm going to double click and open that. So as you can see, the document has been opened and we've got a slightly different screen. Now don't worry if your page appears to be blank, your text is, I'm just highlighting it. That's just the way that Microsoft Edge decides to display it. So I'll just refresh that now because I may well have moved the cursor. Now you can see there we have read aloud. Okay, we've got other options, but the one we're interested in is read aloud. So I'm going to click on that and I'm going to pause it immediately. The reason for that is I wanted to show you the voice options. So I'll click on that to open it. We have an option to speed up the reading or slow it down. I'll leave you to experiment with that. I would ask you to experiment with the voices as well. Now the voices we're looking at, that we're interested in, are natural voices, and you'll see that in the file name. You'll see where it says natural in brackets there and there and there and there, all the way down. There's lots. We're interested in English, so you can see there, got Australian English, Canadian English, British English or UK English, which is what I'll be using soon. Indian English, United States, United States. So there are quite a few, and as you can see there are languages other than English. So if you say you want to work in the Bulgarian market, for example, there's a Bulgarian voice there that you could use. Now other voices that don't say natural will be those traditional robotic sounding voices, and if you want to use those for whatever you have in mind, not a problem. Process and procedures are exactly the same. So I'm leaving mine on Maya. Just click on voices up there just to move that out of the way, and I'm going to hit on play.
The cream tea, also known as Devon cream tea, Devonshire tea or Cornish cream tea.
So you can say that sounds pretty good. That sounds pretty good. We can, as I said, we can change the accent. So let's say we can have Australian.
Tea is a popular combination of tea served with scones.
So as you can hear, it changed quite quickly. So all this stuff is immediately available to us. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually change the voice to something that I prefer, something that's a bit easier on my ears. Obviously your experiences will vary. So what one is English, United Kingdom, natural, Maya. So that's what I'm going to listen to. And while I'm listening to it, if I get my text editor back up, I'm going to follow along the paragraphs. Now I'm not necessarily going to read it word for word, but what I want to make sure is that the paragraph that I'm listening to is the paragraph that I can identify. And as you can see, there are plenty down there. Now I've specifically chosen this article because there's 2 or 3 things in here which will be useful as background information for when you have to do your work. And I'll go into that in a little bit more detail later. So as I'm listening, if I hear a paragraph that doesn't sound right, I'm simply going to left click to the right of the number, and as you can see there's a little mark up there, and if we make a mistake we can click on it again, as you can see there. So basically the left click is a toggle, we can turn things on and off. So I'm now going to listen to the article, I'm going to follow along the paragraphs, and some of the paragraphs will be marked. So I'll see you then.